Welcome to Meaningful Careers. My name is Pardon Pagua, and Meaningful Careers is a hub of information, insights about all things careers. So the information that I share with you here is relevant to you, whether you are a student, an employee, a job seeker, an employer, or a business, or you're just passionate about furthering your career. So I hope you enjoy and learn, and please remember to like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on the content that I share. Now, as an HR expert with over 10 years experience and having sat on many interviews across all levels of employees, from junior employees to the executive levels, I've seen candidates lose out, I've seen candidates miss out based on preparation. So the next video is all about how do you prepare for an interview? How do you anticipate the questions? How do you prepare and research about the organization? And how do you appear in an interview showing a great deal of preparation to maximize your chances of getting the job? So enjoy, get educated, get inspired. Let me know if you've got any questions as you watch the episode.
Meaningful careers, meaningful careers now. Take the time to take your destiny in your hands now. With meaningful careers.
Welcome back to the Interview Blueprint. Today we are talking about interview preparation. You know why? Because interviews are won before the day, right? By preparation. You win interviews before you enter the room by preparing for the interviews. How do you prepare for the interview? The first bit is prepare yourself. That's the first element. You start with yourself. One is your CV, which is your main document that the employer has already received. And that would obviously become their basis for asking you any questions about your own background, your own achievements, and your own career, because that's what you have already given them. So it's now an opportunity for you to then expand on your CV. So revise, always know the bits and pieces that you have put on your CV, i.e. your key achievements, be able to articulate them. Anything that you've listed on your CV, just be so sure that you can expand on it, all right? Then know your gaps. If you've got any gaps in terms of your career where you might not have worked on one or two bits, be able to explain the gaps in terms of your career. That is still based on what your CV says. Say it's got your last employment was like 5 years ago. What were you doing in the 5 years? Remember to have the best answer for that. Okay? Then you prepare what we call your STAR stories. I will talk about the STAR model in a bit. But the STAR model is basically a model to use whenever you are asked to answer or describe a situation in an interview, or to give a scenario, or to give a moment when you either went through something or when you did something. This just helps you articulate and tell a story in a clearer fashion, where S represents the situation, T represents the task, A represents the actions, R represents the results. I will expand on it more, but it's a model that helps for you to articulate or communicate, right? So you need to think about your STAR model and your different examples that you just carry with yourself when you go to the interview. And then get your mindset right in terms of being calm, confident, and curious. It's very key to set your mind there. All right? Then bear in mind as you are preparing for the role. Remember the previous episode we spoke about the different interview types and why they are needed. And now we are talking about preparation. So never forget what is the level of this role. What are the types of interviews that I can expect. That helps you position your mind around what are examples that are relevant to this role. What are examples that are at the right level? And if you're talking about the impact, how huge is the impact in terms of any of your achievements? Is it at an individual level, organizational level, company-wide, industry-wide, or is it country-wide? Right. So you need to frame your mind around what you need to think about, what is the relevant information to carry at the right level, at the right scale. Is it at the lowest level or the highest level in terms of impact? Right. Then once you are done with that, think about your CV now. You have it already, right? But you need to make sure that it's aligned to the job description, which I assume you would have already done when you are applying. I have another video about the CV as your product specification and how to make it stand out. So check it out on our channel. Just a plug for that one. Anyway, on your CV, highlight your measurable achievements, right? Then prepare to about 6 to 10 star examples for your different achievements so that you narrate and articulate how you came to that achievement. And make sure your CV, right, and your LinkedIn profile, they tell the same story if you have a LinkedIn profile. But if you don't have, well, that's another issue. You might be missing out on where the world is. But basically, there needs to be that alignment because you don't want the panel or anyone to bring into question. So just check whether you had submitted any application, your CV and your public profiles, are they aligned in terms of saying the same story, where you're working, your role, your responsibilities, etc. Then the next bit, besides yourself, is the employer. On the employer side, it's very key to understand the employer. Many people overlook understanding the employer. They just do a surface level understanding sometimes, or maybe not. But you need to understand their culture and values. You know why? You can get that job, but you won't like it there. So it's also important for you to understand their values. You are not researching these for the purposes of answering in the interview. No, to actually establish whether you really want to pursue this. A little story on that one. Not all job openings are the best ones for you. Sometimes you may just want to establish, why did the current person leave? Is it a new role, or is it to replace somebody? Is it maternity leave cover or anything? It could be you might walk yourself into a very toxic environment. So just be on the lookout to try and understand the organization. Yes, their values, the culture. If you've got any few people that you might know, those are good contacts anyway, to just establish how it is at their company as well before you even pursue. There's nothing wrong with doing. But then for the purposes of the interview, understand their products and services as well, because whatever role you are going to get, it still contributes to the success of the organization's products or services, whatever they offer. So you still need to be ready to demonstrate your knowledge and interest in that. Their structure, every organization has its structure, low level, mid level, and very senior level. You need to understand the difference. You may not have all the information in detail, but at least in a high level understanding gives you an insight in terms of, okay, where are they, how are they established, etc. The priorities. What is the priority thing in this organization before you join? It might help you in the interview, because say it's a public facing company, or you're already maybe a customer of that company, and you want to talk about things that are relevant to them. By knowing what their priorities are, that gives you an edge, isn't it? Then their competitors, it helps you to think on your feet if they then ask you about their competition or their market or their industry. Any industry trends, they are key to know, to understand what's happening in the industry, what sort of changes are happening. I'll talk about how to do that analysis when you are fired with such a question in the interview in the next episode. And any recent news about the organization, that shows that you are interested in the company and you are very keen to join them. That's about the company. Then what about the role that you are going into? You need to know the role as well. Study the job advert to understand it, not to master or memorize what it says, no, but to really understand how it applies or how your skills apply. Study the job description. study the person specification, if you study the job description, the advert itself, and the person specification, chances are that's where the questions are coming from, or that's where their interests are as far as that particular role is concerned. So you need to understand that. Then you also want to understand the competencies that they are testing. So you can get an indication based on the 3 things that I've just mentioned before. That is the job advert, job description, specification. That gives you an insight. Then in terms of now anticipating the questions, there is what I call the questions matrix. This is just to help you try to figure out or anticipate where any possible question might come from. Okay? So you use the job advert to try and predict the questions and prepare for them. The job description, your CV, because they can be asking you about what you said in your CV depending on the type of interview. All right? Then the industry, they can ask you about the industry. So if you put these together, you can literally predict what's coming. Or even if you don't predict, you have a feel of what to expect and you won't be surprised come the interview. So of your mind map now, as an individual, create a mind map in terms of who you are, what do you bring, the star stories that we spoke about earlier, what skills do you have, the hard skills and the soft skills that are relevant to the job, what values do you have as an individual, then your questions that you have for them. So if you prepare this in advance, it's so easy for you to flow in the interview. Okay? Then preparation is the competitive advantage that you always have over other candidates that are going for the same job as you. So in the next video now, we'll talk about how do you brilliantly bring your preparation and an A game to give a stellar performance in the interview, because that's the D-Day, isn't it? The decision moment. That's where it matters the most. So watch out for the next video and let's talk about how do you ace an interview. Okay? Thank you.
Meaningful careers, meaningful careers now. Take the time to take your destiny in your hands now. With meaningful careers.